he was gonna murder that guy.
Oh yeah, I was planning where I was gonna strike.
Yeah,
because I was looking at the back of his head. I was like, right at the base of the neck is where I'm gonna go.
you had it all planned out.
I know there's a pressure point in there somewhere.
Yeah. You were ready to go.
This is where I'm going to apply the Vulcan neck pinch?
Yep.
Yeah. Just.
Guys, I just got back from Hawaii.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Tell me. Okay, start on day one.
All right, so when we got on the plane, it took off, and I was like, whoa, this thing can scoot.
Plane is scooting.
That was actually something Cody literally said when we went to Vegas one time. You were sitting next to Josh, and Josh, I think, was having a nervous breakdown. And you just looked out the window as we were taking off, and you said, man, this thing can scoot.
I said it just like that. Yeah. Well, actually, I stole that from our grandpa.
Was that when he flew on a plane?
No, that was one of his phrases. When things would go fast, he would say, look at that thing, it's scooting. So
I could totally picture him saying that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've been to Hawaii. I know you guys, the Danners, you guys have been to Hawaii, right? You guys were little kids last time, right?
Yeah, I was 7 years old when last time I went to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Joel, you were 5, I think.
I was a fetus.
You were 4, I mean.
Yeah, I was 5, 4 or 5, something like that.
It's pronounced fetus, all right? Just want to be clear.
Fetus Maximus.
No one knows what you're talking about.
Fetus Maximus.
But I obviously went for my honeymoon. I was there for 4 nights, me and my now wife, and I totally get why everyone loves Hawaii. It's awesome. I have nothing new to add to the conversation other than Hawaii is as awesome as everybody says it is.
They have correctly categorized Hawaii.
Yeah. But there's a lot of places they go like, oh, you got to check this place out. It's going to be amazing. And you get there and you're like, it's just like any other place.
Yeah.
There I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Everybody, the truth is real. It's just like, I can't believe it.
This is amazing.
It was pretty awesome. Yeah, but it is very true that it is also extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Like I'm broke and I need a loan.
Yeah.
That's why we're gonna have
Just
this podcast. If you guys could please just pitch in for that, by the way. That'd be awesome.
We're taking donations.
Please for help.
Yeah. And speaking of that, actually, this is a big milestone for us, guys. This is a big one for us. We've been waiting for this for a long time. It's not a sponsor. I'd call it a partnership. So what we have here is a company that has decided to help us out if we help them out. And I think it's actually a good cause.
It is a good cause.
It actually is a very good thing. And the slogan is cut carbon with a reusable knife. Whoa. How do you like that? So let's get into what this is here. We want to tell you guys about this really quickly before we jump more into Hawaii real quick. So edney, what edney is, provides an excellent environmentally preferred alternative to one-time use plastic utensils. So if you go to getedney.com and use promo code COUSINS, you'll get 25% off your entire order. Whoa!
That's way more than you get just by going to the website. So what's the promo code?
Promo code COUSINS. If you don't know who we are, just put in COUSINS. Promo code, 25% off your entire order. I think reusable utensils is a good step forward for our environment. So I think you guys should go there, check that website out. Really awesome stuff. And yeah, really
it's get-edney, EDNEY.com.
Yes, go there, check it out for sure.
Save the planet.
Save our planet, save those turtles. I saw a lot of turtles in Hawaii.
You did?
I saw a lot, actually. Yeah, I have a few pictures of them. It was actually kind of cool. One came up out of the water, just popped its head out, said, hey, how you doing? I said, all right, cool.
That thing spoke English. You better call someone.
It was in Spanish. I didn't understand it, but it was all right. It was like,
Yo soy terrible.
What? That's the worst Spanish turtle I've ever heard. It's something because we live here in Southern California, and although I totally admit I take the beach for granted, and we've lived 10 minutes from the beach our entire life. We take it for granted. I fully admit this, but if I'm being objective, our beaches kind of suck. They kind of blow.
They really suck.
Some of them are better than others, though.
Well, better than others. Fair enough, but
yeah. If you've seen the beaches in Seattle, they look like Hawaii compared to.
Well, no, the ones in Ventura, they are terrible compared to. But if you go down half an hour, you'll end up in Venice Beach.
Yeah,
and those beaches are a lot nicer than the ones in Ventura. But they do not compare to the ones that you get like in Hawaii. And we've been to Costa Rica. We've been to Cancun. You guys have been to the Bahamas. So we've seen a lot of tropical beaches, and Hawaii definitely is up there with that pantheon of awesome beaches. So I definitely was walking out there with a little pina colada. I was so touristy.
Yeah,
I was so white.
You have to.
And I got burnt like no one's business, man. My poor wife tried to spray sunscreen on me, and it was a windy day, and it just literally shot out, and it was like a foot distance from the can to my back, and it just whoosh, hard right out of the can and totally missed my back. So I got burnt like crazy, and I have these weird marks all over me. And secretly, she just beats me, and that's what you want. Yeah, she's just lashing.
That's a
me
good
like
wife.
Yeah. That's the kind of wife I like. But no, I loved it. And actually, I remember, Luke, you told me that your daughter had actually been to Hawaii randomly.
Yeah.
And she's 3 years old.
She's 3 years old. Yeah, she went without me. No, my wife and my daughter went to the Disney resort in Hawaii, Aulani.
Oh. We looked into that one, actually. I was like, this might be a little fun. But I was like, I don't want to go to Disney.
They have like their own Disney resort, and they went out there without me.
Oh.
I just got home one day. They were gone.
No, we ain't ever coming back.
Ditch your father.
Yeah.
I ain't never going to do it. Cody, you're going to get married in Hawaii?
I don't know. Maybe. That sounds like a good thing to do.
Would you actually ever consider doing a destination wedding like that, going to Hawaii?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we might have to pack our bags, boys. Might be going back.
Yeah.
That, I don't know why. That surprises me.
Does?
Yeah. It actually is. I wouldn't have pegged you as the kind of guy that would do a destination wedding. I pegged you as a guy that would like have it here on an afternoon on this couch, being like, all right, it's done.
I would do that too. Whatever's cheapest.
Just the soundtrack from Ocarina of Time.
Dude. You will not be disappointed.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do.
Oh, man. Well, I can tell you, if you're trying to save money in your wedding, don't go to Hawaii, because, I'm, like, broke now.
Well, actually, one of my coworkers is having a destination wedding in Hawaii, and he says it's way cheaper than over here.
Actually, yeah, I take that back. A lot of people were telling us about how, relatively it's cheap compared to what it could cost other places, but you can have a really simple wedding at a hotel that looks amazing.
Yeah.
The catch is that you probably just won't have that big of a wedding, because now you've put the burden on the guests to travel very far.
I think that's a big reason why people have destination weddings.
Yeah, it's probably true.
They don't really necessarily want everyone and their mother there.
Yeah, we saw like a couple weddings.
Plus the venue will basically do everything for you. You don't have to like do all these details of setting up chairs and setting up like music and all that stuff. It's like all you just put down whatever they tell you the price is, and it's all done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. But the part, we were only there for 4 nights, had an awesome honeymoon, and I loved it. But the thing that's just terrible coming back from vacation is when you go back to work, like that Monday back to work, whatever that is, it's not only the feeling of like, okay, I get back into work mode, no more in play mode. The thing that's like the worst feeling, and Cody and I have talked about this before, is that like this is officially the farthest I can be from another vacation. Yeah. Is that day. Yeah. And that to me is the most depressing thing, because I don't mind my job that much. I actually, kind of like it, and it's, I kind of get to do what I like to do. But it's still just the idea of like, okay, I just went from having fun for like over a week, just drinking, eating whatever I want, everything's in excess, just whatever, more of that, more champagne, who cares? And then you just get back, you're like, okay, got to answer some emails. Yeah. And I'm so far away from another trip. Like
Post-vacation blues.
Is that a real thing?
That's what they call it, yeah.
I had no idea.
Super real. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it blows is what post-vacation blows.
Yep.
I call it that.
Yeah.
Nothing will motivate you to be super wealthy than post-vacation blues. Like, I want that all the time, and I will do anything I can to have that all the time. But I'm sure, like, you would also get bored of that if that was your life 24/7.
You get used to anything.
Yeah. My wife and I were actually having breakfast there in Hawaii. We were kind of just like literally on the beach, just beautiful ocean, and just nice day. And I just kind of go, you know what? I can see myself living here. I could just picture it. And then she was like, all right, look, reality check. If we were here all the time, it'd eventually just become like any other place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I totally admit that that's probably the case, but nonetheless, it still would be nice to wake up to this every morning.
Well, look, what you just said, you take the beach for granted. Like anyone else that comes here from anywhere else in the United States, they come here and they're like, this place is paradise. you live this close. You must just walk to the beach every morning. And I'm like, I haven't been to the beach in 6 months. They're like, what?
I hate the beach.
What?
It's dirty.
Yeah, we went on like a little staycation up to like Ojai, right? So We stayed for like one night, and we stayed at a little bed and breakfast. It was really cool. Nice. But we ran into a couple who was from, forget where. It was somewhere in California, but like pretty far out, like several hours outside of the area. And it was exactly that. They were just like, this place is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my gosh, we went out to the Channel Islands. It was fantastic. You guys just are so spoiled that you live here. I'm like, I don't. Mm-hmm. I drive by the ocean every day and I don't even look at it.
Yeah. Again, I totally admit that we take it for granted. And, but yeah, whatever. It's just like any other place. After a while, you get so used to everything and it kind of becomes mundane. But like one of the things I also did on that trip was it was the first time ever I actually rode in a helicopter. So we took a little helicopter tour. It was like the doors were off. So like literally like the entire time wind is just gusting in. And I was hanging on for dear mercy, like hanging on to a ladder action movie. Explosions behind me.
Do you have like a 50 cal in one arm?
Firing machine gun.
Take this, Hawaiians. But no, we took a tour around the entire thing. And the coolest part is because, of course they do this. They save Pearl Harbor for the very last thing you see. And the guy, he was talking to air traffic control, and I couldn't hear what he was saying. But I think they gave us permission to fly like directly over it, which I guess they don't do all the time. He could have just been yanking my chain. He's probably, I do this all the time, but no, it's really rare. You know?
Yeah,
it's one time only.
You're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, really. But we were like 100 feet over the USS Arizona, and it was like the coolest thing. But it was just like, wow, man, this is incredible. But I mean, aside from the gorgeous views that we had the entire time, I had never been in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'd been in one, but never flew in one. So when it first took off, that was the most exciting thing for me. Like we're at some random airport, and when it picked up, and we were like backed up, like making a back left turn. It was the weirdest thing. Have you ridden in a helicopter before?
I've never ridden a helicopter in my whole life.
Oh, dude, like that alone was the cool. Landing and taking off were the coolest parts. I mean, the rest is like, okay, yeah, like we're high above, and that's cool. I mean, it's awesome, and don't get me wrong, it's great. But just him like flying or hovering like 20 feet in the air just above everything else going super fast. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever experienced in my life. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just want more of that. It literally felt like being on a roller coaster, but like there's no track.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh my God.
And yeah, no safety net.
He's just doing like nose dives.
Smash cut to you guys in the helicopter, and the pilot's just slumped over the stick.
He's dead.
The entire time we're just screaming, ah! Look over, Tom Cruise is flying the helicopter. He's just like
laughing like a maniac.
Freaking nuts.
I love you, babe.
Yeah. But actually, when we were over Pearl Harbor, I guess because it's still an active like naval base down there. So I guess what they do is they have like a Black Hawk helicopter that like hovers over you and make sure that if you do anything weird, like they're just gonna shoot us down. So then I could see it. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is. What am I a terrorist now? Like,
in case you want to hijack the helicopter?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how I feel about that, but hopefully don't get shot down and killed. But it didn't happen, as far as I know.
Well, good.
Still alive, guys.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
I'm guessing it didn't happen.
But immediately after the trip was over, we started talking about where else we wanted to go afterwards. And of course, it just becomes depressing because you're like, I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know when it's going to happen.
You just got to plan it.
When's your next trip, Luke?
We are going up to Portland and Seattle to visit that dude over on the computer.
What?
Yeah. We're going to fly into Portland and then take the train from Portland to Seattle. Oh. Yeah. And I've never been on a train before in my whole life.
Oh my god.
Never been on a train, like even like a choo-choo train?
I've been on little carnival trains, but I've never been on like the Amtrak, like an actual train that takes you somewhere.
Oh god, they are fun. You are in for a treat.
I already paid the conductor to go right through Seattle just to take you up to Canada and leave you there.
Nothing wrong with that.
Just keeps going north, off the tracks. Just wind up in the North Pole.
Wind up in the North Pole, would you please?
Hello, Santa.
Oh, that sounds cool. Cody, what about you? Where's your next trip going to be?
It'd probably be Alaska next year.
Really?
Oh yeah, you guys are taking a cruise.
Yeah, aren't you going?
No, we bailed on it.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah. It's so expensive, Cody. We're not rich.
Well, things got depressing real quick.
Well, took a dark turn.
But that's like a whole year from now. You're not going to take even like a smaller one in the meantime, or probably won't even plan.
Maybe I'll go somewhere February-ish. Feels about right.
I've already been trying to figure out where the next place is. Amanda and I have been talking about going like on smaller trips because there's the big trips that take a lot of money and a lot of planning. You got to get time off of work. But on the weekends, I think we live in a very awesome spot where there's a lot of things to do that are within driving distance.
I'm telling you, staycation, man. We did. I thought it was it'd be nice, but like, so Ojai's like a 15-minute drive from our house.
Right.
Like, it's not really a vacation, but we stayed at, like I said, bed and breakfast. I'd never stayed there before, and it might as well have been a vacation to a city that I'd never been to. Like, we took the time to like walk around, and like we did wine tasting, and like went to a super nice restaurant, and it was like the coolest thing ever. I've been to Ojai a million times in my life, but it was just like, this is awesome. Like, that's all it takes. And it was not that, I mean, it's not like you're spending thousands of dollars to fly anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was great.
Yeah, I definitely would like to do a staycation somewhere. I think the place, there's been a few places that come up. Like one that we talked about was going down to San Diego. I know you just had an experience down there, but Cody got attacked by like a bum or something like that.
You did?
Well, it was like a schizophrenic homeless woman.
What did she do to you?
She tried to beat up my now fiance, and there's this angry lady that heard voices in her head that she thought she had exchanged with her, but we of course never seen her before in our lives because we were just trying to get back to the car from a restaurant, and we're in I think it's a gas lamp district.
Yeah.
It was down in that area, and it's a really shady area, but the restaurant's nice. And this lady came out of nowhere from behind us and was like saying all sorts of things.
Oh my God.
And I had to get in between, and she was waving the cigarette in my face and like trying to fight fiance, and I was just like, keep going. Keep walking. I don't want to have to knock you out.
I will punch you, stranger.
It is not going to look good with me standing over you in the middle of San Diego.
Mr. Vibert, did you just knock out this homeless woman?
Yeah. I was like, I hope I have witnesses. I was prepared. I was like, all right.
I almost got in a fight with a homeless guy in Seattle one time. It was like
That's
our first few months. Yeah, it was the first few months we moved here. I was taking the bus to work at the time, and because we didn't have two cars, and I took the bus basically downtown, and then from downtown to wherever my work was, which is south of downtown. But the downtown stop, I mean, it's just like flooded with every character you could possibly think of. And I was there like waiting for my second bus, and it had been, I don't know, like 5 minutes, taking longer than usual, of course. This older guy is just like going from person to person asking for money. Gets to me. I say, no, I don't have any cash, because I never do. And for some reason, he just decided like, oh, I do have cash, and I'm just lying to him. So he just like grinding me, basically being like, no, you have money. Like, just give me $1. That's all I want is $1. And I like showed him my wallet. I was like, I have zero cash. He's like, no, it's in your pockets. I showed him my pockets. It's like, I have nothing. And by this point, like, it had been a 90-second conversation, and I'm just like annoyed that this guy is not leaving me alone. And he like keeps, and now he's getting aggravated with me that I'm not giving him money. So he starts like getting closer and closer and shouting, like, just give me money, give me money. And I'm like, dude, just walk away. And I like just kind of like push his shoulder a little bit, which is like the worst thing I could possibly do. And on top of this, he just smells like reeks of alcohol. So like he's just boozed up. And I like kind of push his shoulder, and he just starts like screaming like crazy and like running circles around me. And everybody on this corner is like staring at us. And I'm just like, dude, this is the worst case scenario right now.
Oh,
and
man.
Eventually he just like storms off and then comes back and shouts at me again. I'm like, I just like standing there with my hands up, like, I don't know what to do, and just walks off. But I'm like, I would have no problem fighting you if you had like touched me. I actually would invite you to touch me so I can fight you.
Yeah, give me a reason.
It was really frustrating.
Because at that point, like your adrenaline's just going, and you're like, well, if we're gonna do this, like I couldn't be more ready at this point. Like this is the state I need to be in. So it's just gotta happen.
Primed and ready.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to, like, I've mentioned this to Amanda quite a few times, that it's like if that had ever happened, like something like a guy got like too handsy or had done something like to her, like I'm in that situation where like someone's mouthing off or something like that, or like you have to get into a fight. My first reaction would just be like, well, I guess I'm going to jail, because like I have no like, what is the alternative? I just don't do anything. Like that's not gonna happen. Like I guess I'm just gonna go to jail. Like you made it to where I have to go to jail now.
Yeah.
Like so I have to get up and be like, all right, let's go. Just start swinging. And you're like, well, I'm gonna be arrested. But my first initial reaction would just be like, dang it, man, gotta go to jail. I'm gonna have a record. Is this idiot over here just being a moron? So I gotta fight you now.
This idiot over here is being a moron.
Idiot over here is being a moron.
That's like an old line that Josh had.
Yeah.
Is this the place where morons go to be idiots? Yeah, I've never been in a fight. I know, Luke, you've been pretty close a few times.
I wasn't in a fight with this guy, but this guy was ready to. I mean, there's no more literal sense of someone having your back.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
I always come close to getting in fights, but it never actually really happens.
I've never.
It always is like on the cusp.
Yeah. No, same here. No, I've never ever been in an actual fight. But yeah, one time we were getting out of the bar. It was late at night downtown, and this guy comes over and just hammered and just starts talking about like how I have been eyeballing his lady, his wife. I'm like, how dare I look at his woman and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what
and you were, but that's besides the point.
Yeah. I was groping her all night, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I was just like, come on, dude. And like, I like grabbed his shoulder. I was like, it's fine. Like, we're nothing. And he like hit my hand off his shoulder. Don't touch me, bro. He's like, oh, and like, he's like getting all in my face. I'm like, dude, it was like the same thing. We were waiting at a stoplight, like to cross the street. Mm-hmm. It was like a crowded, like a group of people.
Right.
And we're just in the middle of the group of people. I'm just like, dude. And eventually the light turns. I'm just like walk, just go. Like, just go. And he walks off, and I finally realized. I turn around, and Cody's like, his head is right here,
just on your shoulder,
just on my shoulder, and I've never seen this guy so red. like his fists are like if he was Wolverine, his claws would be out. Like he was just like. He was like ready to go, just like full on pumped up, like he was gonna murder that guy.
Oh yeah, I was planning where I was gonna strike.
Yeah,
because I was looking at the back of his head. I was like, right at the base of the neck is where I'm gonna go.
You had it all planned out.
I know there's a pressure point in there somewhere.
Yeah. You were ready to go.
This is where I'm gonna apply the Vulcan neck pinch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just put him to sleep.
Yeah.
All peaceful. I carry him to bed. Take him home.
Yeah. I thought that I had intimidated him because I'm not a small guy. I thought that I was the one intimidating him, but I turned around like, yeah, no, it was probably Cody. It was just like death staring him. Like, do you want to actually do this right now?
Yeah. It's called an ambulance for Cody's blood pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's through the roof. Yeah, well, Cody has a tendency to get red really easily. And we took your blood pressure a couple months ago, and it was totally fine.
Totally normal.
I was shocked. I was like, what?
I don't think it has anything to do with my blood pressure. I think
I don't know.
Just my capillaries are very close to the surface.
Just transparent skin.
Yeah. Translucent skin.
There might be something to that. But it's it's somebody like Matt and Rondi, our cousin Matt, who's been on the show a few times. I found it, they go on vacations like all the time, or they're always going and doing something. It may not be a vacation, but they're always traveling. And I'm like, how do you do that all the time? Because I feel like when I take a trip, it's like, oh, it's that one time a year that I'm actually going to go somewhere now and do that. So I don't know how people manage to do that all the time, because I see people on Facebook and social media, they're always traveling. I'm like, how do you guys afford this? Like, I don't understand where the money's coming from. They don't probably have the greatest jobs in the world. And even if they did, they'd probably be working all the time. So how do you manage to pay for all this stuff? I don't know how people do it. Does anybody have any insights to
Let's
this?
ask him.
All right.
Maybe you can chime in on the comments.
Yeah,
How do you
folks.
afford your vacations?
Yeah. How do you plan for these things?
Where do you make your money?
Because most people, like when people go somewhere, they have to budget and be like, all right, we're going to plan, take this day off of work and it's going to be like a tight fit, but we can make it work. But some people are just like, yeah, I went to, Thailand this last month, and then next week I'm going to Cuba. And then I'm like, how do you manage to go to all these places?
I feel like it's people that like travel the world though have planned that for a long time as part of like their life, right? Like
Really?
I've had a couple people that have done that, where they take months and they'll just like travel the world, and that's like that has been part of their plan for a long time. Like they get out of college or like whatever, work for like a certain amount of years, don't spend any money, they just work, save up, and like plan their journey, and they just like travel. They basically like backpack around wherever, and that's just like how they do it. Because there are ways to do it cheaply. It's just you just have to want to do it. That's the thing. It's like most people like it's like they're okay with like pretty much roughing it out there. It's like I feel like you and I are just like, where's the nicest hotel that I could possibly stay at?
Yeah. That's usually what it comes down to. Is just
Yeah.
like, all right, how am I gonna what's the nicest place I can go to?
Right.
And actually, I've always said that there's two types of vacations. There's the relaxing kind and there's the adventure kind. And not every trip is going to fall in line with, one or the other. It could be a hybrid. I think a cruise would be a good example of like a hybrid between those two. And I learned that on this trip, at least, kind of had a little revelation, is that when you take the relaxing trip, i.e. like someplace to Hawaii where you're just going to spend it on a beach most of the time, not doing much of anything, those are always the more desirable trips, because when you take a vacation, it's to get away from the craziness of your life and your schedule. You kind of just want to take time to relax a little bit. But the adventure types, that are ones that you're going to go like backpacking through different towns and kind of be touristy and go check different spots out. Those are the ones that you probably will remember more than the relaxing ones. Mm-hmm. They leave more of a memory. So it's almost as if like those are the more mentally healthy ones as opposed to the physically healthy ones of relaxation. So I feel like Hawaii we had one day where we rented a car and we drove around the entire island, and that's the day I will remember the most from that trip. But it was also the least amount of relaxing we did on that trip.
Yeah.
Because we did so many things. So I think that's a really that was a big takeaway I had, at least from that trip, which is like, even though you probably just want to sit back and drink some booze and kind of just soak in the sun, it's actually going to probably be more memorable if you go do things that you wouldn't normally do. Like, for example, we all remember a trip that we took for your Boy Scouts.
We were
Back-
just
We were just
talking
talking about that.
just talking about this.
We went down, I forget the name of the river.
It was the Colorado River.
Colorado River.
Yeah.
And we all had canoes, and we were all paired up with someone of our family member, or a senior in our family member. So, Luke, I think you were with your...
I was with my dad.
Oh, yeah, you were with your dad. Cody was with mine and Cody's dad, and I was with our grandpa.
No, I wasn't. I think Joel went.
I was with our dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Joel was on that
yeah.
trip.
You were with Dad. I was with like a friend of mine, and you guys were all with like your dads.
So, like, to skip to the end, essentially it was like a really terrible trip just because of how physically exhausting it was. But we never forgot it. We have never forgotten that trip.
Let's joke about that trip.
Yeah,
it's like the worst trip ever.
We always talk about that trip just because of, obviously it wasn't the most desirable thing that we did, but it's certainly memorable.
Yeah.
And it's because a lot of it stood out to us, as like, even if it wasn't necessarily for good reasons, but I've just realized that a lot of the trips that I do remember are the ones that, like, something happened and you go like, we don't usually do that. And that therefore it's now memorable to me.
Yeah.
It was memorable just because it felt so terrible as it was going on. Yeah. I mean, like we were all physically exhausted. Like I especially was like younger and just couldn't physically like row a canoe like as needed to go up Colorado River.
You were like 10 or something.
Plus, yeah, I was like super young, and it was all day. And we get to whatever our rest stop is, which is like the end of the day. It's like evening time now. We're all starving and tired. And our dad falls out of the canoe and like twists his ankle. So he's like damaged goods now and just like furious. And literally we all just like pack up and just find a hotel and just left the next day.
Yeah, it is exactly what we did. Literally just like packed everything. We're like, oh, nope, we're not gonna do this. And we just left.
Yeah, there's too many. That whole trip is a podcast in and of itself. But yeah, it's just so many things happen. The most, if there is one story I could share from that trip, because I'll never forget this as long as I live. Our grandpa was just like the strongest guy ever, and he was in my canoe. And by the time we got to the end, we were just so tired. We were all shot, just exhausted because we had been canoeing all day long.
He brought his own canoe. I remember that.
Just had it on his shoulder. But no, there was a speedboat that literally just towed us down the river eventually. But he only had one rope. Or actually, he had like two ropes. One for the canoe that me and my grandpa ran, but everybody else wanted to get towed as well behind it. And Grandpa somehow concocted the thing to be split up between like 4 different canoes, but he was going to have to hold it. So the speedboat was towing mine and my grandpa's boat, but Grandpa was literally holding on to 4 other canoes by himself. This guy was probably like in his mid 60s, just holding on to 4 canoes. And I remember he looked at me at one point and he was like, "You want to switch?"
Arms all shaking.
Yeah, literally just like muscles were like ripping out of his shirt. It's like, good heavens. Crazy thing there. But no, the funniest story is actually Cody and my dad's getting hit by a certain floating device.
Oh man, I totally forgot about that. That was the funniest thing.
And I didn't see it at all. I didn't see this happen at all, but I keep hearing about it.
Because we were in the far back. We could not steer a canoe to save our lives.
It was like this stupid motorized. They had like these motorized buoys.
Yeah, it was like that 5 mile per hour
Yeah.
like buoy thing, and it was on a motor, and it was going in one direction. That was straight towards us, and we had just launched from the launching shore area, and it was heading straight for us, and we had no idea how to steer this damn canoe.
It seemed slow too.
It was like really slow, like probably 5 miles per hour. And my dad's like, "We're gonna hit that thing. We got to turn." He's like, "We got to turn." And I didn't realize like I'm in the front of the canoe, so I'm the one that has to steer. And I was so all over the place with the oar and like on the left and the right, so I was staying centered. And we eventually we were able to turn far enough left so that it hit just like the iceberg on the Titanic, where it hits the edge, and then like it tilts it. And I remember looking back and seeing my dad on his back, with his legs up in the air, and him pushing that freaking metal buoy out of the way, and our canoe like shaking. And I was laughing harder than I could have ever laughed in my life.
Yeah, I lost it that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
You're just watching your death coming towards you 5 miles an hour. All you got to do is turn, get out of the way.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's like the scene in Austin Powers. Stop!
It was, just slow motion.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Hit each
How do
other.
we get out of the way?
That was awesome. I was telling him I went on that same trip the very next year. Best time I ever had.
Yeah. But what happened on it? Like, I don't understand like what we were doing wrong.
I think it was because like we were all a family and we wanted to like stick together, and we are all like, we didn't know how to steer or paddle a canoe. So we were all just like tense and like fighting it the whole time. And it's like, if you do that for 8 hours, 9 hours, you're just going to be like exhausted, tired, hot. And the next time I went, it was like no family members went. It was just the troop, and we went with a buddy of mine. And we like literally we didn't even paddle. Like we just steered the thing, and like the river just takes you wherever, and it was like the most relaxing, like coolest. We were just laughing the whole time.
Yeah,
awesome.
I think there had to have been something that was not communicated properly on that trip, because I'm like, there was a common denominator here. Everybody that was in this group that went like had a miserable time.
Yeah.
So something was not communicated properly, at least with the other group.
Plus there were whirlpools. I remember there was like a section of whirlpools, and me and my dad could not get out. We were just going around in circles because I was not strong enough to like steer us out of there, and my dad was just like trying as hard as he could just by himself. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That was
It
hilarious.
sounds like a movie, just like
Yeah.
the canoeing trip down the Colorado River, whirlpools,
Yeah.
Grandpa holding on to people with his muscles, and just your dad falling into the water
Yeah.
and buoys attacking you guys.
I had food poisoning that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the next time it was fantastic.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a great time.
You got to go down. I wouldn't. If you told me that you want to try that again, I'd be happy to do it. I'd like. There had to have been something that was off that day or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd do it again.
Yeah, I'd try it again. But anyway, I think we're out of time for this episode. So yeah, this is a fun trip down memory lane, and hopefully more vacations to come. We won't take too many breaks because we do this show a lot, and we want to make sure our fans are entertained out there, right, guys?
Yeah.
Is that what?
So make sure you travel and make sure you use your reusable utensils.
Yes. Make sure you go to get-edney.com and cut carbon with a reusable knife.
Yeah,
I like
buddy.
that slogan.
You know, one of my coworkers just got back from Italy, and he says they use noodles as straws,
Whoa.
which
What?
is weird.
Like uncooked noodles?
yeah,
I was gonna say, if
Is
it's
that
cooked, it'd
real
be
or is
weird.
that like
it wouldn't work with a cooked noodle.
just
Worst straw ever.
slipping out of their hand?
Limp noodle.
You limp noodle. Well, that's interesting. That was Roberto, I imagine, right?
No, actually, I don't think you've ever met him, but he's on my team.
Well, I hate him.
I do too.
His name is Mr. Italiano.
Mr. Italiano.
Mr. Olive Garden. All right. Well, thank you everybody out there for watching, listening, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us there. Check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we will be back next week for more and exciting stuff. All right. See you guys later on. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, Twitter or Instagram.